Good. Stay 6 feet away from me. No, I'm kidding.
Virtual 6 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing is killing my business right now. I have
Yeah,
two businesses, and one of them is the rage room, but it's
right.
not just a rage bar also, and it's axe throwing. And we had to close our doors last Sunday, and then well, officially we had to close them Tuesday because of what the governor put out. But now I don't. I mean, who knows when we'll open up? No one
Yeah.
knows.
So is
So
it?
I just laid everyone off. I had to. Um,
Oh my gosh, that must be a
yeah,
terrible feeling to.
4 employees, actually two contractors that would get me stuff. They're going to keep getting me stuff, and they're willing to just work and get paid later. But my employees, they got to get paid. So I told them, I said, you should probably just go file for unemployment. I said, my other business, we might be able to give you hours, but it's not going to be very many.
Right.
Um, so J-Dog Junk Removal is the other business that I have, and that business is not doing so well. It's not doing as bad, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not an essential service.
Which business did you start first? Did you start the?
J-Dog Junk Removal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, started that one about 4 years ago.
Yeah. So what? I guess I mean we're already kind of going here. If we can just use this,
Yeah.
then I can just cut an intro in there later. But so what made you start the junk business, the J Dog junk
Yeah,
removal?
J-Dog Junk Removal. I started it because I used to be a liquidator. Like I would go and like buy stuff and sell it like online, and like I was a flipper. So I would find stuff like kind of like what Gary Vee does, where he goes out. I don't know if you listen to his
Yeah, it
YouTube
goes
channel.
garage sailing
He goes
or
garage selling.
something.
That's what I did. Like I would go to estate sales. I would go to thrift stores and find stuff and put it up on eBay. I was an eBay trading assistant. So I like would sell stuff for people on eBay, find out like what did they have, do some research on it, try to
So
get the best price, ship it when it sells.
were you in college or what
That
made
was yeah, I was actually yeah, I was in college at the time.
and
Yeah.
did you start with garage sales? How did you
I started
find the
with
junk?
yeah, I there was actually when I first moved out here, Goodwill had a warehouse, but it was like not to the degree where it is right now. It was the one on McNeil, and it was about 3,000 square feet. And I
Mm-hmm.
would go there, and I would actually had a guy that would bring me stuff, and I was like, "What is this crap he's bringing me?" And then I would put it up, and I would sell it. Like it would sell for a lot of money, and I was like, "I got to figure out where this guy's going." I found out where he was going, and I was like, "I'm just gonna do this myself." So then I hired a guy full time to do all my pictures, and I did the research. I put a post-it note. He would sell it, and I would actually bring it back and then do like a buy it now. So I would ship stuff all around the world. And then a buddy of mine was doing he had a franchise called J Dog Junk Removal,
Mm-hmm.
and he was selling stuff online. I would see what he was putting up on Facebook, and I was like, "Where, are you looking for someone to sell your stuff?" He's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Whoa, I could do what he's doing." And then I kind of saw the value on the backside of the junk. Like I saw it as like an opportunity to get more inventory, where
Mm-hmm.
people would pay me to get the stuff, and then I would get people to pay me for the stuff afterwards. So I ended up flying out there. I bought initially one franchise. I bought the Hayes County franchise, and then I bought it's basically by territory, by clusters of population. And
Mm-hmm.
then just about a year and a half later, I bought a second one, and then 2 years later, I bought a third one. So I have basically run all Austin all the way to the north side of San Antonio right now.
Yeah, so
But we
when
do
you
way more than junk removal. We do like demolition. We do roll off dumpsters, bobcat work.
yeah, so when you started out and you were starting to flip, you said you outsourced the photo taking. Were you the copywriter? Were you writing all the descriptions?
Yeah, I wrote the descriptions. I did the research. There's a program called Therapy that helps you like figure out what do you have, what category to list it in, who your competitors are. If there wasn't a lot of competitors though for the stuff I was selling because most of what I was selling was like unique items like sports memorabilia, old electronics,
Mm-hmm.
old vintage sports memorabilia, and military type stuff.
Yeah, and did anyone teach you this, or were you just learning as you were
No, I
going
just kind of
along?
winged it. I learned it on my own. I went to an eBay convention back in '07, and I learned a lot there.
Okay, and then so as you're starting to build up this business, and you hired on a couple people, um, How long did it take you before it was like a full-time job, like you're actually living off the flipping business?
The flipping, I just had one guy working for me, and I actually operated out of my house. And I had a room dedicated to it was like my eBay. Actually, I had an office, and then I had a room to stock my inventory. So I had like my peanut dispenser, my boxes were in there. And yeah, it did pretty good volume. I mean, there's guys that do way more volume than me, but I was probably doing about 40 to 50,000 a year.
Yeah. So
And
that money that you made there, that led you to buy the franchise?
yeah, I bought the franchise, and then I actually sold it back in uh, October of last year, but I'm still like, he's doing payments, so I'm still like majority owner of it, and I still help out with some marketing here and there. And it's right next door to our rage room, so it's a way for us to get inventory.
Right. Yeah, that's very creative and a great way to reuse and collect products. I think it's a great idea. So with the coronavirus now, and then you can't let anyone into your store. Is that how it is?
Yeah, so we're considered a bar because we have a beer and wine permit. So the state recognizes us as a bar, so we actually cannot, per the governor's guidelines, we can't even be open at all. So that killed our business. But also, even if we didn't have that in place, a lot of people are freaking out over the whole thing. So they're worried about being around other people. We have typically, our average session is a couple, but we don't run just one couple at the same time. We usually have like 2 or 3, and we get groups that come in, groups of 10, groups of 15. We can do up to 40. But even with that, we can't, if you have 2 employees working and you've got groups of 10 people coming in, it goes over that 10-person ratio. So yeah, it effectively killed our business, and who knows when it's going to come back.
Right.
Because we're getting hit on both fronts, right? We're getting hit on the health hazard front, but we're a business where we're based on people's disposable income. So people come and have fun after they paid all their bills. Well, most people that come out to the rage room are millennials. They're younger people that work in the service industry, and all those people don't have any work right now. So if they don't have work, they can't afford to come and do something. So I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, it might be like something where I have to like completely change the business model into something else. But we should have more information on it in the next week or so. But for right now, we're going to remain closed until at least the first week of April.
Wow. And so have you heard anything about small businesses receiving any?
Yeah, I've got like 6 or 7 links that I'm going to apply for today. There's supposed to be some legislation passing on Monday for an emergency SBA loan. I know that a lot of like credit card companies, and if you took out a business loan, a lot of times they're willing to waive interest and penalties for at least a couple months to help business owners get through all this. There's also, the governor put something out about I have to pull the link up, but some type of emergency assistance loan that you can apply for through the state. There's a lot of, I'm a veteran, so there's a lot of veteran organizations that are trying to help veteran business owners out there too. And there's some really good Facebook groups that I'm a part of where they're putting out a lot of really good information.
Yeah. And so what do you think of it? Do you think this is an overreaction? Do you think?
Yeah, I think part of it, I don't know if you call it overreaction. I think a lot of it is emotional reaction. I think the worst thing is just not knowing what the future holds. When we had 9/11, you knew what happened, right? It hit us hard. It hit the stock market and everything, but you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. With this, it's affecting everyone worldwide. It's not just here in the U.S., but we're seeing what's going on in Italy. We're seeing what's going on, what happened in China and some of the other countries that got hit so hard. It's like, is that going to happen to us? The media is like running with it. They're getting people all hyped up. People are seeing visually. Everyone's connected on social media and YouTube. So they're seeing these graphs, and I think a lot of people don't really understand the graphs, but they're visually seeing these graphs and they're freaking out over it. And the numbers are spiking because there's more testing going on, but people see that as like, oh my God, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert, but I have talked to some pretty successful business people here in the area. And they're saying that they've never seen anything like it before. It's the black swan. I don't know if you watch Patrick Bet-David's YouTube videos. He puts out some really good videos.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned the black swan about a year and a half ago, and this is definitely a black swan. So no one knows, but I mean, if I were to guess, just based on who I've been talking to, local business owners, they're thinking May is when it'll start recovering. It's not going to get back to normal in May, but people are going to start getting back to work in May, hopefully. And then I'm thinking by July, August, by the end of summer, we start getting back into the, normal spending habits.
Right. And so once that gets back to normal, how easy is it to just restart up your business? Is there startup time?
So the good thing is that if you search best rage rooms in the country, we're number one. We're not number one. We're on page one. We're towards the middle of page one. And a lot of that has to do with our SEO and just the fact that we've had a lot of media exposure. We also run a Google ad campaign with a robust budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're still going to maintain our not the same budget, but we're going to still have a Google ad spend every month. We're going to drop that budget down. But as you know, Google penalizes you if you go to zero. So we're going to still have a Google ads budget. My volume on my webpage is typically around 600 to 800 hits a day. We just went down to about 150 to 200 hits a day because of all this.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't care about our business right now. It's like there's other stuff for them to worry about. We understand that. So we got to diversify. That's the other thing. So if we just did rage room activities, it's not sustainable. We gotta have the bar. So I'm hoping that when we open up, we start doing UFC fights. Once sports starts again, we'll start getting back in, make it like a sports bar, make it into a lounge, even have a poker night.
Mm-hmm.
We have the axe throwing, but we don't really advertise the axe throwing. It's more of like something on the back end of like, if you go to check out for the rage room, you find out, I can add on axe throwing. So we want to push the axe throwing out more, offer people specials that want to come in. I'm probably going to do a promo here, a coronavirus promo, and do like 20%, 25% off gift card purchases for the future. So hopefully that'll like get people to help support us.
So
I've had more cancellations than bookings, so I have a lot of bookings that I have to refund people, but I'm asking them to at least hold off, or as a trade-off, giving them a gift card in addition to whatever their session is good for, as an incentive to not get a refund, to help us get through these tough times.
Right. And so what would you suggest for like all small business owners who are struggling at the time? It sounds like you're taking the time to kind of regroup and rethink and revamp and remarket, and to really, once this is over, come out full force.
So this will be over. We just don't know how long it's going to last, but I think we'll recover, and I think you'll see the economy and the stock market I think it'll be stronger than it was in the past. I think that this is your time to focus on your marketing efforts and your plan going forward. What is your short-term plan to get through this, and what is your long-term plan? Where do you see yourself in the future? Don't go into panic mode. A lot of people are going into panic mode. They're like, am I going to have to shut my doors permanently? We had to lay our staff off, but I had to lay everyone off because I couldn't guarantee them any hours at all. So they would actually get paid more by filing for unemployment than what I could give them in hours. So I said, just go ahead. Everyone wants to come back and work for me, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I told them as soon as, I don't want to bring them back when we just get a few bookings, but when we start getting like a steady string of bookings is when I'm going to start bringing some of my employees back. And so I think a lot of it also is communicating with your customer base, whether that be through MailChimp, through Facebook, maybe doing some YouTube videos, and just telling people about your situation, because people are supporting small business. I mean, look at the restaurants right now. People are trying to balance grocery shopping with supporting local business takeouts and deliveries. And we're in the same boat. So, I would ask that people buy some gift cards, look at, in the future, maybe look at how you can support our business with your team, with some team building activities. And stress relief is a huge thing too. And you're going to need some stress relief getting through all this. And that's another thing that we offer. So as soon as we open the doors, we're probably not going to be like doing like big groups or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But individuals and couples, it would be a good time to come in as soon as we open our doors up. So we're going to offer some specials to people that want to come out, and also communicating to people what you're doing to combat the spread of the virus. So for us, I put out a couple Facebook posts about how we're wiping everything down. We're washing our coveralls more than we normally would. We're cleaning the bathrooms really well. We have, check-off sheets that are hung up in the bathroom where people can see how often we're cleaning, and, just wiping everything down more than we normally would. So being very mindful of the virus and abiding to the social spacing also is going to be important when we get back open also.
Yeah, so I think people are spending all this time in their home and they're getting pent up. And so I think the Rage Room would be a great release. I think
so, yeah.
It's a terrible that you have to close your doors. I mean, I think you could easily just do some cleaning, and I think you'd still be operating as a normal business, but the government kind of forces the business's hand in a lot of these situations where it's like you don't have any control over your own business. And so I think if you're safe to operate and you're not putting anyone at risk, then you shouldn't be forced to close your doors to something.
Right.
So I think it's a real shame out there for small businesses and businesses in general that are having such a rough time. And then even the employees, like what you're saying is, there's no way to afford to pay these employees. So do you see any outlet for that workforce? Do you see, maybe it's doing what you did, was start to go to Goodwill and start flipping to make extra money. I'm just thinking how these people are going to survive without jobs.
Right.
If none of that industry is open, and even Uber and Lyft are even slow because nobody wants to do that. Do you have any suggestions for how people can get by?
It's tough. This is one of those recessions. We're in a recession that's hitting people at the bottom. Like the ones before, like the stock market crash in 2008, it hit people at the top. It hit the wealthy. It hit the guys that have these big hedge funds. And it affected people at the bottom also, but it started at the top. This one's the other way around. It's hitting people at the bottom. It's hitting blue collar workers, people in the service industry. There's going to be a lot of assistance that's going to be needed from government. So I would say the first thing they need to do is, if they are going to file for employment, do it right away. File for any kind of aid that you can get. A lot of that is being put out like through social media, through the governor's website, and also some of our businesses that normally wouldn't be hiring are hiring a lot, and like HEB, Costco, Amazon, warehouse workers are still hiring right now. So I encourage them to apply for those type of temporary jobs until they can get back on their feet for right now. But I wish I had a solution. I wish I could send them out and be like, oh, this is what you need to look for at the thrift store. But they're even talking about shutting the thrift stores down too. And, we supply a lot of our, we break a lot of glass. Like we go through probably about 2,000 items every weekend, and most of it is glass. And we get our glass from bars. So even if we were to stay in business, I don't know where we would source from, because all the bars are closed down right now. If the thrift stores close down next, we get a lot of our supply from thrift stores. Then that's going to be our next hit, is going to be on inventory. So we're actually getting hit on that too. But I would say, as far as if you are someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, I would reach out to your landlords, or if you have student loans, the government is waiving student loan debt interest and payments for at least a couple months. If you do have credit card debt, reach out to your lien holders and your credit card holders. They know every American's in a bad situation right now. It's not like it's just affecting one state.
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday, a lot of them are closed this weekend, but Monday is when you need to start calling, and don't wait until the first of the month. Call now. That way you can defer payments, or, USAA is another good example. USAA has agreed to defer car payments and mortgage payments for a lot of people. So, but you have to call.
Mm-hmm. Do you see any good coming out of this?
Yeah, I do. I see some good coming out of it. I know it's allowing me to kind of regroup and think about things and get a little bit more organized, and really crunch my costs too. Because I'm looking at this as like, well, if I hadn't spent that much money on what I spent it on this last couple months, maybe I would have had more money right now to like address this, or maybe keep my employees on. So the good of it is like people are coming together. People are looking out for each other. That's what we have to do. We got to look out for each other, especially elderly people. If we have elderly people in our communities, they need chores done, grocery shopping, or just checking in on them. The other good coming from it is just diversifying, right? I mean, if you're in a business where you can't have all your eggs in one basket, you got to diversify, and that goes with whatever type of business that you do. If you're not diversifying, you have to. There's a lot of rage room owners where all they do is rage room.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do axe throwing. They don't do like a bar. They don't do mobile rage room is another example. If we had a mobile rage room that was up and running, we would actually might be able to do house calls right now, but we didn't have it up and running yet. But I do know that some of the rage room owners that do a mobile rage room, they're not getting hit as hard as we are. So that's something I probably should have had in place, but no one knew this was going to happen, and no one knows when it's going to end.
Yeah. So, obviously you're very entrepreneurial. When did that start in your life? Is that something that
when I started doing the eBay stuff,
mm-hmm.
and I also had a route for like I had amusement games, like the claw grabbers, and I had the quarter pushers and pinball machines, and I had about 6 or 7 locations where I would go and restock the stuffed animals and pull the money out and pay the people that own the properties. And so, but I didn't really have employees. I was all kind of like, I consider it more of a hobby. Like on Shark Tank, they say, oh, that's a hobby. That's not a business.
Mm-hmm.
J-Dog was like my first business because I actually had 12 employees right before I sold it. So that was a true business. And then the Rage Room, I had 4 employees and 2 contractors that would work and help us get stuff. And we were doing really, really well up until February, actually up until March, up until about a week and a half ago, we were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, I think it was about last Thursday when it kind of hit, people started calling and canceling. But I mean, we probably one of the better performing rage rooms in the country as far as volume goes.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin, we're the only rage room in Austin. There aren't any in San Antonio either. So we're drawing from San Antonio, we're drawing from Austin, we're drawing from everywhere in between. And we rely on a lot of the tech companies to do their team building and their corporate events. South by Southwest was going to be really good for us too, because we can also do venue rental where we can run our entire venue out
Mm-hmm.
to whoever was going to attend South by Southwest. We had some leads on that, but of course it got canceled. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you got to diversify. You got to keep thinking outside the box. The other thing is you can't just sit there and just wait for leads to come to you. You got to work on your leads. So like for me, I do a MailChimp at least once a month. I do Facebook marketing. I do Google ads, so that people that are searching, they don't even know about the Rage Room. They're searching for fun things to do in Austin, or fun things to do with teenagers in Austin, or fun indoor activities. They haven't even heard of the Rage Room, but then all of a sudden we pop up they find out about us. Going to the BNI meetings, going to like some of these little networking meetings that they have like locally, setting up at trade shows. You know, you have to hustle and you got to be aggressive with your marketing. And sometimes that might not be, you might not have time to do it as a business owner, but finding the right people to do it. Someone who goes out there, a people person, someone that enjoys doing that, and someone that has a record of doing really well with that. And so we're looking, once all the smoke clears up, I'm looking to hire a marketing person that can do a lot of that kind of stuff for us.
So are you all self-taught? Did you go to business school? Do you have parents that were great at business?
I think genetics plays a role in it. My grandpa was he sold trousers back in like the 1950s. And my mom said he was really good at it, and he traveled the world doing it. And he also owned like a nightclub. And so he was all about business. And so I think part of it is genetics, but I have a master's degree in government and public administration. Okay. And so that was a business degree, but more like in the government. We always consider it's an MPA. So it's a business degree in the government sector. But I just enjoy business. I mean, I'm a paramedic. I've been a paramedic here in Austin for 14 years now. And because of my EMS schedule, it allows me to do a lot of stuff during my off time. There's a lot of first responders and firefighters that have side hustles.
Yeah.
And so I've always had a side hustle. A lot of it is because you only work 2 days a week. If you do 24-hour shifts, you're working 2 days a week. You're off 5 days a week. So it gives you an opportunity. You could go work overtime. I've never been an overtime kind of person. I just do my time there, and I do other stuff. And so working EMS gives me retirement. It gives me job security. It gives me my health insurance and benefits. So I don't have to worry about that. So being a small business owner, I don't have to worry necessarily about paying myself. I pay my employees first, and whatever else is left, I pay myself. I don't have to worry about, do I have to pay for health insurance or do I have a retirement? I have all that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I got, and I've tried, I was on city council and I've tried to get hired, but it's been really hard for me to get hired because I don't have any management experience at the city level. So that's why I was like, well, maybe I'll just try out running a business. So small business, they're saying right now that small business is 60% of our GDP. Small business is the engine of our economy, the American economy. And without small business, I mean, this recession could be really bad. So I really hope that the federal government and the state government steps in to really help small business out.
Right. And I heard, we can't be in this isolation life forever. So
no.
So I've heard that it might get worse in the short term, where we may go into like a 48-hour lockdown for the United States or for Texas, but eventually everyone's going to get set free, and then we're going to go back to normal. And then so it may spread even worse. And so I just don't see where there is to go for small businesses, which is why this is such a scary time for people in the service industry. And it's just like there's no right or easy answer for the government or for people right now. And I don't know. I just think it's a scary time. There's no real question in it, but
yeah, it is scary. And I think that's why the stock market is crashing so bad, is because it's the feeling of uncertainty, not knowing what the future holds. And you're right. I mean, what if we go back to normal and then it spreads, and everyone's seeing these videos coming out of Italy now. And I got to worry about it on the EMS side too, because, we're responding into nursing homes, and there have been some fire departments like across the country where they're having to quarantine like hundreds of their firefighters, and EMS getting exposed. So, yeah, there's definitely that. I'm hoping that, it's a virus, so there's no cure for a virus. You can only really treat the symptoms unless you have a vaccine, but vaccines are going to take 18 months.
Yeah. So what have you seen
trials.
in the EMS? Is it?
So on the EMS side, call volume has dropped drastically because everyone's afraid to go to the hospital. No one's driving, so you're not getting like car accidents. But some people are calling 911, you know, for, I think I have corona, I have a cough and stuff like that, and people shouldn't be calling 911 for that. But I do know that like where I work, you know, we're real prepared to deal with stuff like that. We have plenty of PPE. People are getting tested as needed. So I'm honestly not too worried about it. I'm more worried about my business than anything else from an economic standpoint. And I'm not really worried about the virus, you know, spreading at the Rage Room. We're taking all the precautions that we need to take. I'm just worried about from the economic standpoint, can people afford to do this type of activity? Or people are willing to come in and have a group, you know, in the future? Are their fears going to last forever? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it'd be cool to, you have like slow motion cameras, get some really slow-mo videos of.
And we have some of those. We have an Instagram with a lot of those. We have you know, our Facebook page. I'm trying to get our YouTube channel more robust because there's a lot of people interested in like the psychological aspect of like why people are coming to rage rooms. It's kind of a misnomer, going back to the whole rage room thing, is I hate calling it a rage room because I would say 99.8% of people don't have any rage that come there. They're just coming there to have fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes people get mad. Actually, we had a guy who called and he goes, my girlfriend bought me a gift certificate to go to the rage room, and I'm not an angry person, and I want a refund because she thinks I'm an angry person.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to get away from that name. There's a lot of terms. There's one called, you know, in Vegas, there's one called Sin City Smash. They have other ones called like Destruction Depot. They use the word destruction versus rage.
Right.
Anger room. So I'm trying to rebrand everything that we're doing because we have a couple other things we're trying to do. One of them is like a zombie tactical experience in our other warehouse. So 3,000 square feet of shooting zombies with like airsoft guns and using everything in there from our junk removal business. So overturned cars and buses and old barrels, make it look like it's you know, a hazmat scene. And then you've got like a diner with chairs and tables overturned. So we're working on that. We're also working on, I have a plan in place for immersive museum upstairs above our rage room with different themes in each room. So if you can imagine like an Instagram museum where you go in each room and it's like a different theme, we're trying to do that also with about 10 different themes upstairs. And so I'd like to create some type of brand that is related to recycling. So one of the names I'm kind of tossing around is Recycled Adventures, where basically the whole business is based on upcycling and recycling, and also DIY projects where you can come in and you have instructors that kind of teach you how to do different crafts and different types of projects, and you can sip on some wine while you're doing your projects. So you got the DIY, you have the rage room, you have the axe throwing, you have a bar lounge, you have the Instagram museum, and you got the zombie experience, kind of all within one 6,000 square foot warehouse that's two stories. And so a lot of people that come out, they want to do more than just a rage room.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're driving from all over. So they want to, the typical rage room session is 30 minutes, you know, and they're there and they're like, what else is there to do here? I just drove 45 minutes to come down here. I want to do more stuff. So in the future, like right now I'm doing SketchUp and drawing diagrams of all our layout that we're going to have on our upstairs. And then hopefully by the time we finish construction on it, we can have it done by the time the economy picks up again. I'm even looking at opening up a second location in the San Antonio market because there's been a lot of people calling from San Antonio. They assume that we're closer when we're not, and then they don't come out because we're too far. So get a lot of calls from Dallas too, but there's actually 2 or 3 different rage rooms in the Dallas area. So if I were to expand, I would probably expand into the San Antonio market and then start doing more stuff on our second floor to try to maximize our space that we have there.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, I just want to thank you, Matt, or Damon. Sorry.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah. Yeah, Matt Damon. You know, I appreciate your service for this country, what you're doing as a paramedic and what you're doing as a small business owner. I think you're a real great role model for a lot of people right now, just trying to survive and be creative and thinking outside the box for what you can do and help your community. You're a great example of that, and I want to acknowledge you for everything that you have done and everything that you continue to do for people and in the city of Austin. If people want to come check out Rage Room or have this experience of recycled adventures, do you have a website or a contact?
Yeah, so
find you?
Yeah, the Recycled Adventures is something that I'm working on, branding and new logo and everything. 512rageroom.com. You can go on there and sign up for our newsletter. You can like our Facebook page. We also have an Instagram. It's all 512 Rage Room. And if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll send you, you know, offers, birthday offers, discounts, announcements, like when we're going to open up again. Any kind of specials, like drink specials that we'll have. Yeah, follow us. And then our YouTube videos, we're going to start doing more stuff on there too. So if you want to follow our YouTube channel, it's 512 Rage Room.
Yeah, those are always my favorite videos, watching stuff explode or blow up. And
also we have a mentorship program. If anyone's looking at opening up a Rage Room across the country, I have a Rage Room consulting program that they can sign up for on our website. And we also have a Facebook group, Rage Room Owners Marketing Group. So if you're looking to open up a Rage Room and you're not going to compete with us, of course, you can join that group and you can sign up for our emails that kind of advice, like how to get started, you know, how do you source items, who can you partner with to get items, because that's the biggest challenge with the Rage Room business. So if you're looking to do something like that, we do offer consulting mentorship program for potential Rage Room owners.
That's great. It sounds like a great opportunity for anyone looking for a job in these tough times to reach out and talk to you. Thanks for your time, Damon.
Thank you. Good talking to you. Appreciate the opportunity.
For
All right.
sure.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.